Did you see that?
Yeah. So you brought up Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about how Miami is heating up right now.
Right.
Miami is 3-3. And if we look at
two win streak, right?
Yeah, I believe it's
or was it a 3-game win streak?
No, I think it's a two-game win streak.
Yeah.
But if we look at their stats, Miami is 21st in passing, 20th in rushing, and 25th in total yards. So when you hear that, you're like, wow, that's a losing team. But for somehow, some way, you're watching these games, you're like, wow, they're doing stuff.
Yeah, they're getting the win. Yeah.
They're getting the win, and they just beat the Niners.
Yeah.
And they're about to play
a
the
lot.
Rams.
Right.
Yeah, they by a lot. The game was 43-17.
Yeah.
And this was a Super Bowl contending team.
Yeah.
And I know they were recovering from their injuries and stuff, and they just beat the Rams.
Yeah.
Which I think like some semblance of where they were. Like
another thing too was I think for that Dolphins game they just put in Jimmy G way too early. He didn't look like he was 100% that whole game. And then when you watch the game against the Rams, you're like, okay, this is the Jimmy G I'm used to seeing. So I think one of the things was just playing him too early and trying to make him work his magic when he wasn't ready to do it. And
could be.
Yeah, I think that was one of the factors of why we did so bad, and another factor was just our defense just let way too much go. It was something that it was like, man,
what happened to what's his name? Nick Bosa's defense. Is that his name?
Yeah, but Bosa got injured, so he's not even playing now. So that was another.
Oh, that's
thing.
right. He was injured.
He tore his ACL, so he's not playing for the rest of the year.
That. What happened to the coach though?
Oh yeah, see that's another thing it's Shanahan is trying to work with what he's got, and with all the injuries and dealing with all the players that he has to deal with, most of them are coming back from injuries, so you don't want to put them in at 100% because then you don't want them to get re-injured and then having to go back to your backups and stuff.
Because I'm looking at the Niners, I'm thinking like their defensive coordinator was like a really good defensive coordinator. They still have the same guy. I forgot his name.
Salah.
Yeah, and he's the one that coached these players like Nick Bosa and all these people, and like even when the team felt so strong, it was just like, and the plays that they were calling seemed really good that it was like it shouldn't matter if it was your second string people. Like it just feels really empty. Like I don't know, like you watch the games and you're just like, wait, Miami put up 43 points on this
against the Niners. Yeah,
this guy was like the coordinator of the year last year.
Right, yeah, that was like a surprise to me too. And I was just thinking about it and looking at the defense. It was like, man, I don't know what it was going to be like going into the Rams game, but I was just like, I just hope they pick it up and make a comeback. Which, they did. So I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
I was like, so they did it.
I bring up the Dolphins as well because they're now only one game behind the Bills for their division. And this is the first time the Dolphins have been in this situation in a long time.
Right.
So they're heating up. They got Fitzmagic, who's got more interceptions than touchdowns. But for some reason, they're getting enough done to win.
Yeah, to win a game.
And they beat the Niners. They play the Rams next, who were just beat by the Niners.
Yeah.
And if they win against the Rams, and again, it's like we were just saying about earlier, the teams that pick up that are underrated, but if they get enough of a winning streak, they start to build this hot hand.
Yeah, and this momentum.
And then they still get teams that underestimate them.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they come in and destroy them. Like
if you can connect, that's all you really need. Like you don't necessarily need like the best talent. You just need people to connect.
Yeah.
If you could connect as a team and you could get those wins, then like what the Dolphins have proved that they can.
I think it's strange because Miami is they're just a decent team all around, but I think things are just clicking. They're starting to work because even with the 5 interceptions, they're 3-3. They're on a 2-game winning streak. Threw an interception against the Jets. The Jets couldn't even score.
Yeah.
Because that defense just kept getting to Flacco.
That's what's weird. Yeah. No field goal, no nothing. And it's just like, damn.
I have my own opinion
Dolphins
about Flacco.
Kept them away from that?
I don't think Flacco's a great quarterback at all. When he went to the Broncos, they were like, oh, we have Flacco. He won a Super Bowl before. And I was like, you guys aren't going anywhere with Flacco. You guys just trade him now because to me, he's just not a great quarterback at all. Mm-hmm. And he takes so many sacks. He doesn't get rid of the ball. And it's just, he needs to be on the Corona commercials with Romo or something. Like, I don't know. There's somewhere else that he needs to be. Somewhere else. And it's not in the football league. That's my opinion.
I mean, if like the thing with that, like you can't necessarily compare him to Romo because at least Flacco has a ring. So it's just like, I mean, you can look at their stats all day, but you can just be like, you know what I'm saying? That's like if you look at basketball, you can look at everybody like, oh, Allen Iverson and stuff like that, and it's like, but he doesn't have a ring. But then you look at someone like Jeremy Lin, and it's like, oh, Jeremy Lin has a ring. Jeremy Lin's an NBA championship or champion. It's like, but you know, like that's another thing. You just don't know. Like you know what I'm saying. So with Flacco, I think. What the Jets really need to do is just, man, I don't know. They need to figure something out. Yeah, they got to figure something out.
They just got rid of Bell, and I think there was just a lot of issues with that because they had a 19-year contract. They let him go. That was 19 months into a 4-year contract.
Right.
And when you have a 4-year contract and you're absorbing that amount of money as a loss for the next year or whatever, it's just like, damn, he must have done something
bad, yeah.
So they were just like, you know what, we're losing. We ain't got to deal with you.
Yeah.
Like, so you can
get rid of this guy.
You can just go. We need to just like reset.
It was like 3 years ago. This guy was number 1, and now you're just like,
yeah. But yes, the Jets probably weren't the best feat for Miami, but it's helping their winning streak because the Niners were. The Niners were a great feat for.
Yeah, and that was they didn't win just by like a little bit. They won by a lot.
They won by a lot. So I'll be very interested to see if how they play against the Rams, because if they do any sort of really good to beating them,
then that's just saying like the Dolphins.
They have a chance. The Bills took 2 L's in a row. And the Miami has 2 wins, and that's going to do a lot because if you have a rolling hot hand,
right? Yeah,
it helps. If you're on a losing streak, it's a little demoralizing. So it'd be a strange outcome to see Miami be the leader of that division. I still think the Bills will take it, but you never know. And I'm just letting you guys know right now, Miami is heating up. Watch out for Miami.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Yeah, that was a hard loss, but it was like, man. They were just playing really good. Like the Dolphins, might be just connecting really well. Yeah. You never know. Like, maybe they had one practice where they're like, oh, they fixed all their mistakes and stuff like that. Like any team can do that. Like it was the same with what just happened to us. Everybody was like, oh, Rams are winning. And like I think 70% picked like the Rams to win in our game, and we ended up winning. And I was like, oh, well, maybe, throughout that whole week in practice, Shanahan knew what he needed to fix and they all did it. And Saleh knew what he needed to fix, so he did it with his defense. And that was another thing. Maybe the defenders were like, yo, we just gave the Dolphins 40 points. We need to start stepping it up. That could have been it too. Like you never know. And like I said, you're not there for their practices, so you don't know what they fixed. You don't know what they're working on. So you don't know whether or not they're actually, getting things together. Same with the Buccaneers. You go from getting all these penalties every single game to a game against a big team and have no penalties. Then you're clearly doing something right in your practices, and you're clearly doing something right when it comes to game day, to bounce back. And it's just one of those things you just, it's hard to determine now because there can be a lot of teams that are doing that. Like even last year, a lot of people didn't think that the Titans were going to make it that far into the playoffs, and then, they started just, real shine a light on Derrick Henry.
Yeah,
and just kind of like
now they look like one of the teams to beat. It wasn't just like, oh, they made it to playoffs? It was like, whoa, this team is underrated by a lot because they're heavy. Yeah. They're looking like they control.
They almost went to the Super Bowl. They were that close, Yep. And like how
beat out the Ravens, who everyone thought was going to be in the championship,
right?
Against the Chiefs. So